Welcome to another episode of the Paranormal Rangers. Hi, Stan. How are you today? Can you hear me, Stan? Stan? We're having some technical, it doesn't surprise me, Bill, anymore.
Stan, can you hear us? I'm sure he'll square it out. So while he's sorting that out, I'm going to go like this soon now, too.
I know.
Oh, my gosh.
I don't think he hears us. I think he's but...
Is there some type of technical thing going on?
Yes.
Yeah. We can't hear you.
I can't hear her.
You can hear me?
I can hear you. There she is.
That is okay. Good.
Okay. Well, welcome everybody. The technical difficulty has just been resolved. Welcome everybody. Hi, Skywatcher. How's it going?
We missed you last week. We missed you.
I know. So it's amazing how the world works. I really insisted on coming on that show to be there, but it was really interesting. My internet went out and my phone went out. And I was texting John in desperation. I'm not going to be on the show. I have no connection, no communication. So it was an interesting thing. And now I'm hearing rumors that John feels like I wasn't ready for the show. John Bros, I was trying to ignore him because I know John.
Actually, Stan and John can tell you because they really did a great interview with him. He did mention you a couple of times that when he comes back, he definitely wants you here because you were part, that experience in Utah, at the Basin, and he really wants you to talk to him one-on-one on that experience and move forward. So I'm sure he'll come back in the future to discuss that.
Yeah,
when you're here.
And I say this tongue in cheek because we never know what our outside elements are doing around our lives. And sometimes, we just have to deal with what we have to deal with. And that's what's really interesting about talking today is our talk point will be living with the paranormal. And that seems to be our everyday lives. We end up living with it, experience it sometimes on a daily. We get breaks in between. And but like today, the reason why John can't be here with us today, he's on the road traveling. He has an assignment that he's doing for the film industry. So we're excited to hear that he's going to have a successful run with that, and we will miss him. But today you get Stan and myself and yourself. And Stan, would you like to say anything now that you're back online?
Yeah, you just have to be ready to roll with the punches, in dealing with this subject matter, especially if you are part of a production. Mm-hmm. You get all kinds of little gremlins doing things and affecting things, and it's just a part of it. Even in the bigger productions. I mean, when you're live, doing live production, anything can happen, and especially when it comes to things related to paranormal. It's just the way it is. So,
I will add this. There's a comment coming in from Rainbow Food Rocks. Yeah, and I agree with this right here. I don't believe that was a coincidence. These things do happen when you try to talk about these topics. I've seen that happen numerously on other shows regarding this. You'd be surprised.
Right.
Not every, I agree with that.
Well, even with the last show, mm-hmm. when we were talking to John, in that subject, we know there are people out there in various capacities that are listening to those shows, and they may even have the influence to affect those shows, causing them to have technical issues and things of that nature. Yeah. I mean, we've seen that, and so you just have to be ready to try to do what you can to keep things running.
I agree. Now, and I don't know, the Rainbow Food Rock says yes in chat. But tomorrow, you had John last week, tomorrow on KGRA at 5:30 p.m. Eastern. It's only a half hour. That's how long this chapter lasts. So it's going to be chapter 1 of 22. It's an animated series, The Green Veil. And John Burroughs wrote this. Now, it's considered sci-fi because he took it with the way he believes things go in a certain direction. When it's regarding Rendlesham, the names are, they've changed, fictitious, but it's really based on what happened in Rendlesham. So when people watch it, put the things together. He had to make things fictitious for a reason.
Right.
But really, you should watch it. And from his perspective, he's trying to lay this out to the public of what his own experience was and what he believes this was. Because I don't think he thinks it's extraterrestrial. I think it was some kind of a time distortion, like time space, like I don't want to say portal, but something like that, where he got enveloped in it and it changed him. So something that's what I don't want to speak for him, but that's the kind of vibe I get having that discussion with him. So, and there's a lot of stuff coming out.
Yeah.
Soon. There's always stuff like you hear about this. I don't know if you guys heard this. Supposedly there was a video that Burleson said that exists, that the TikTok is in its third interaction. It's already, but we don't know that because a source says, well, where's the video? Like everything else, where's the evidence? Where is it? We need to see the evidence. Between the three of us and the public that's watching, I am tired. This is just me now. I am tired of having hearings when somebody says something and we're supposed to take their word, and especially in this environment with the lack of trust there is. So we're supposed to trust what they're saying with no evidence to back it up. I don't want to hear that. I want to see evidence, something. Give us something, not just talk. Talk is cheap. We want to see the evidence. And I'm to the point where I'm totally frustrated. Now, John is different. He can bring certain things to the table. He, as he mentioned to Stan and John last week, he was asked to go to a hearing. He turned it down. And there's a lot of different reasons, and I'm not going to get into the specifics. But if the situation was right, he might do it. But they may do subpoenas.
Yeah.
Which kind of forces them, to go and appear at a hearing. So there's a lot going on. So tomorrow, the first chapter, 5:30 to 6 p.m. Eastern. It airs on KGRA, Facebook, YouTube, Rumble, and on X at Global Radio Live. So, folks, take a peek at it and check it out. It's the first of 22. The last episode airs Christmas Eve, but there's a reason for that. You got to remember, Rendlesham occurred Christmas time, 1980. So in that time period, so there's a reason for this.
I'd like to get back on the show. I'll let Stan comment afterwards, but I'd like to get him back on the show because there's one, as I researched this whole entire incident, it was never noted. And the question, and he may be able to answer to me if he ever called me back. Did he touch the aircraft because we know his comrades did?
I do not know.
That's one thing of my homework I did, I couldn't find.
I don't think so. I don't want to speak.
I don't think he did.
Yeah.
I don't think he actually put his hands on.
I think Peniston is the one that said.
Yeah, Peniston was the one who touched the ship. But,
yeah. But no, I think this is something. Yeah. Remember, everybody had their own personal experience when this happened.
Right.
You know what I mean? If everybody was to say the same thing, that would make me suspicious. Like they all went together and tried to stay on the same story. But everybody has a certain different perspective of what actually occurred.
Yes.
In the forest, which is intriguing.
Yeah.
So you got
part of that is just human nature.
Yes.
You could take a device or an object and put it in the middle of a room, have 4 people go in individually view that and then come back out and describe what they seen, and all four are going to have a different description of.
That's right.
It's like pareidolia. You might see a cloud in a different way than I see it. You know,
you saw faces. I may see something. Horse.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So.
Same thing with the paranormal. Same thing. I've run into people who I've interviewed, and one saw something, or somebody didn't see that, or they saw something else. It would just depends on their experience or what their mind wants to deal with.
Right.
And
there's a lot of things that factor into what it is.
Both of you.
That individual.
The source of paranormal. It's not a simple. It may not be a simple answer. And there's not a resolution here, because it can be multiple types of sourcing.
Right.
We're dealing with multiple things going on at any given time. Interdimensional. You know, we know that now they're talking more about fourth, fifth dimension manipulation of time and space. Who knows if I don't know if I'm a big fan of parallel Earths or universes and stuff like that. Of course, spiritual, divine. There's so many. It could be like something is overlapping our existence, and we're seeing a shadow of that in our existence. There's so many questions, and it's fascinating. And I know both of you, especially with your backgrounds, dealing with the indigenous peoples and the experiences you guys had, and the oral traditions, the stories, and even the artifacts, everything, the culture itself. It's fascinating to me, at least. So
when you consider the universe is infinite, the human brain cannot wrap around that. It can't comprehend the fact that our universe is infinite. And that being said, there is an unlimited number of galaxies out there, and the potential for other life. That's a fact. We know that. What we're still trying to understand and figure out is what you spoke about earlier, Bill, is this idea of other dimensions. Sure, we have string theory and a lot of other beliefs and understanding of other dimensions and things like that, but in truth, we don't know. We just like what you said earlier, you want proof of these things, but a lot of times with the spiritual stuff, you're not going to get a rock solid proof. I mean, in some of the cases that I dealt with, we had rocks thrown at us, and those rocks were evidence, and they were collected. Other times there was casting what is known as Bigfoot tracks and impressions and hair, and we were able to collect evidence of these things. But in some of those cases, you're getting experiences where there's no tangible, provable evidence in that. It's sometimes based on an experience. And so,
Stan, you talk about, we have this multidimensional state, we have things like Bill, you said something about John. He doesn't believe that it is coming from a ship from somewhere else, but it's multidimensional state, and I was listening to a broadcast on the way over when I was driving for 2.5, 3 hours. And they were talking about our president of the United States. He was visited by some ETs for world peace and technology, and he chose war with another species and chose weapons and technology and to sacrifice human mankind. Now, that is really big and weird to hear that something like that. We could have world peace and technology and live in harmony right now in our world, and somebody chooses violence and another way of life. But if you really look at the perspective, and I'm kind of going a little bit off topic because this is a part of our world that you were talking about. Is there evidence for that story? And you know what I'm talking about, which plan that was with the Majestic 12, which came out of it was a military coup and then military industrial complex. Out of these paranormal experiences, now we have...
Just to be clear, that's going into the past. I mean, that's not right now.
No, I'm talking not our president. I'm talking back in 952, and I should have been more clear about that. But I'm talking about, we take these experiences that people have on the ET level, and now we've created a whole system around it where... you're dealing with wars today, you're dealing with factions, you're dealing with industrial complexes, and you're dealing with military, that is the evidence that one seeks for. That is evidence.
You have organizations that are hiding.
Yes.
They're hiding information. They're suppressing information. Or they're changing it in some way to make it appear that it's something else. So there's a lot of different elements that come into play with these things. So,
but as you said, this is in the past.
Right.
That does not mean that breakthrough technology is not being used presently.
Oh, true.
In recent past, because I think John, his opinion is that what happened at Rendlesham was a result of a top secret military program, and they were doing it on them, and something happened where it opened up some time-space situation. So that's why I don't think and I can't, like I said, I can't speak for John Burroughs, but I speak to him often. And you got to see how he's going to build this up, because the evidence is trending that. Look at the Tic Tac. Look at the Tic Tac.
Yeah.
It's a perfect example. Now they're coming forward and saying that it was ours. A lot of people that I spoke to, scientists, rocket scientists, said it was ours. And that even I spoke to another scientist. This is when this all broke in 2017. He said, even the Russians are developing this.
Right.
So, but the thing is this giving humankind the credit of ingenuity and innovative research and giving humanity credit for developing this? Or is it something that is back engineered, something that we recovered?
Reverse engineered into our own existence.
Right. So there's a lot of questions. And another thing, too, is the weaponization of fear. Like right now, there's the narrative that's going on. And Avi Loeb is only saying that, what if it's not an asteroid? He's not saying that we're going to get invaded and this is some kind of an alien probe and we're going to be under attack. What he was simply saying is, what if it's not natural phenomenon and it's actually some kind of intelligence, an intelligent species coming in to observe us, or worse? That's all he's saying. But people right away, we're going to get invaded. The aliens are coming. People, and that's not what he was saying. What he's just saying, hypothetically, what if it's not? And then people just go off the rails and say we're going to have an alien invasion. So it's fear. A lot of it is fear, and we have to be always careful. And I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I'm not. But you always have to worry about some kind of a false flag situation where they're going to say it's extraterrestrial in nature and it's not. Or even demons.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Uh-huh.
So what do you guys think?
Wow, that's a great one. So I'm going to share. My week has been full of paranormal, okay? And I have called Stan and had these discussions with him where we're filming in a place that carries a lot of energy. And I look at some of these things as being a paranormal hotspot energy, and energy, it's been equipped with the heading, the topic of hitchhiker, right? Like we have hitchhiker, we have energy.
Attachments.
Yeah, detachments, hitchhikers that come with us from these environments that we are in. And I believe that where I'm at right now is I brought something home, forgetting that you have to clear your energy fields every time you come from where I'm at. And so and to manifest that, things start to show. So one of the first things that manifested was I was at a work residence that I stay at, and the dishes started to break. I touch it and it would explode. And and then I called somebody else, and a friend of mine who sometimes will help me clear, and said that somebody else in his friendship, she was having cabinets fly open and glass breaking, flying off the walls. So, this has been one of those things, but also there are things that I really believe that spirit can touch your person to warn you about something that's about to happen, or an event, that someone close to you is going to go through. And I had that event this week, and I wish John was here because he had something significant happen, but that's his story to tell. And I'm sure in some future broadcast he'll unveil that. But Stan and I and him look to each other for safety first. Our concerns are the safety of each other. And some of these paranormal experiences can be very intense. I was dealing with a lot of intensity with paranormal this week, and so on the way over here, I'm like, is it me or is it just the energy I'm carrying? I got hit by a huge rock and it cracked my windshield.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm like, okay, what's up with this? What am I not hearing? What do I need to look at? So you start to interpret these things as, maybe it was just one of those incidences, you blow it off. It's a good thing I have insurance.
My time.
Yeah, but I could start interpreting as, oh, that rock came at me and it was a ghost rock. You can make all the interpretations you want, but we've got to be careful that we don't do that and that we stay in our realm. Okay, but when these intense things come out, is it me or is it really the phenomena? So sometimes we carry those energies to have those certain experiences. So, I've said a lot, and it may not have already made sense, but those things were happening this week.
Stan?
And sometimes we go through cycles in us. Sometimes, like here at my house and where I'm at, everything is very quiet and very serene and peaceful, a lot of positive energy, and but other times there will be a wave of all kinds of paranormal based activity going on. And that goes back to our subject, living with the paranormal. And for some people, they'll have activities that are clearly some form of paranormal, supernatural energy that's in their lives. And sometimes it's that individual, that person, that attracts those kind of energies to themselves. I know that the way I view, the work that John and I did investigating the paranormal officially with the department that we work for, I did that for a number of years. For my entire 23-year career as a Naval Ranger, I investigated and experienced various types of paranormal activity. And I think being exposed and seeing those different types of things allowed me or caused me to be more sensitive to seeing and recognizing those energies. Some people go through their whole lives wanting to experience something paranormal, and try as they might, they don't see anything or feel anything or experience things. And others, it just kind of comes to them. But there again, each one of us physically and spiritually are made up differently. I mean, our DNA, we have an aura that is about us. We may not, some people can see those auras, some people can't. But in how you carry your person, sometimes you can make yourself a target of those energies, like especially the negative and demonic and evil kind of energies, so to speak, will target a person that has that bright, positive energy and positive aura about them, and their chi, their life force, their energy attracts that negative energies. And you really have to learn, when you're in that situation, you have to learn how to deal with that. John and I were lucky to have been, coming from different Native American culture where that was our background. Right. And we learned working with medicine men and medicine people, shamans from other cultures, in the best ways to recognize those energies and how to deal with it. Sometimes you can't just get rid of all of it. Sometimes you can't erase, so to speak, those energies. It's there because of maybe some traumatizing and or really history that maybe there was some trauma in that. And you can't just go in and erase it and make it go away. It'll be there, but you can learn how to suppress that and keep it where it's not negatively impacting your life or negatively affecting you.
You touched on so many great points. I just got, I mean, and Benno and Rainbow and chat are like spot on. You're educating, beautifully educating people. Here's the thing, what you said, it's also about the senses. Like, my mom can see.
Right.
She can see things. I cannot.
Right.
For me, it's a consciousness connection, and I'll tell you why. And I don't know what you guys think about this, but in the dream lucid state, I have such incredible lucid dreams, and it has to do with extraterrestrials, really. To the point where I can't even sleep in my bedroom. I hardly ever sleep in my bedroom. I've been living here 20 years, and for like the last 6-7 years, I don't even sleep in my bedroom because I've had some crazy experiences in there with dreams and sleep paralysis, major sleep paralysis. I think people have that ability. There's different people with, like you mentioned, with different types of ability on making a connection.
Right.
But he also made another great point. There are people that are receptors. And when you're a receptor, you have to be careful. You just can't openly invite everything in like it's all going to be good and dandy, because you could be dealing like the law of nature, the balance, malevolent, benevolent. And you have to know how to deal with that situation, because when you just open yourself up and you're a receptor, you can have all kinds of attachments trying to get to you. Like what you were saying earlier, Michelle, you might have carried something with you, something that attached. So there's so many different variables in it. And I also think, I'm just going to say this quickly while Stan is doing whatever he's doing. Stan sent me, oh my God, what the arrowhead. He sent me an arrowhead last year. It was blessed. I was wearing it. I live in the Hudson Valley in New York. And just like anywhere else, a lot of native known areas, historical. Okay. I told Stan this story privately. I'm riding my bike over it's a walkway bridge over the Hudson. And I was wearing it. And all of a sudden it just went, poof, gone and into the Hudson River. Now I'm on an elevated bridge. It flew off. And I'm saying that I was disappointed because I cherished what Stan sent me. Because it's also about the power of faith that you give with it as a protection. Okay? Because that's what I did. I felt like this was protecting me. But I think that this was meant to go into the Hudson River for some reason. Mm-hmm. And Stan was kind enough to send me another one. Now, I'm more careful with it. If I'm going to carry it with me, if I'm going to do a bike ride, I'll put it in a little, it's here, the sack, and I put it in my wallet. So it's still in my possession, but I'm not going to lose it. You know, I don't want to lose it. So it's also about the power that you give something. That spiritual power, you know, divine power, protection against negative energy, whatever it is. You know, I just want to hear what you guys have to say about that, because I just threw a lot out there. But
one thing to keep in mind is those devices like the arrowhead, the obsidian arrowhead, and or let's say a crystal that you might have, a quartz crystal that you might have that is there for protection. A lot of times those devices, those items will absorb that energy. Let's say almost like a lightning strike. Instead of that hitting you and causing direct injury, those things act almost like a ground or a grounding rod, where it'll receive that energy to keep you from being injured. So sometimes that's what you experience. And you know, and I know that you were extremely upset at the point that incident occurred with the first arrowhead, but you know, sometimes that happens, and it happens for a reason. So we just have to be grateful and thankful for that. We're okay. We don't know if you weren't. I mean, if something was targeting you, or you know, we don't know that. But for you to come away from that, and so today you're doing okay, and you have a replacement, you know, for that.
Maybe it saved me from something that was about to happen.
It could have. We don't know.
Exactly. Now, somebody mentioned this. Michelle, I just want to bring this up. Okay. Someone asked in chat, Anonymous Rex wants to know, does carrying corn pollen help protect?
Oh, yeah, definitely. It's a blessing, medicine. It protects, but it also, your blessing, it's used for the blessing. I know the Navajos, everybody has their own interpretation within their own tribe as to what the corn pollen is, but it is a protector. But we like to sage. We like to use sage and tobacco. Of course, I have some here. I was going to make a comment about being a receptor. My computer was 100% full. Now, the area that I am has a tendency to drain computers and energy. And mine was about to shut down, so I plugged in. So sorry, but right now I can feel in a very intense energy where I'm sitting, where I'm at. I'm in the Uinta Basin, everybody, and yes, things happen here, and I'm starting to feel the energy increase. But my battery about went dead. So I'm going to let Stan talk a little bit more about the corn pollen, because that's a really great question. Go ahead, Stan.
I would like to reiterate something that John Dover usually tells people in regards to what was commented by Anonymous Rex. What he suggests is that instead of just carrying that item and having this idea, and sometimes it can be a false understanding that, oh, I'm protected, I have that. What John suggests is that you go back in your culture. Where are your peoples from? You know, whether it's Ireland or another First Nations people in Canada, or from Mexico, wherever your ancestors come from. Go back and look at your culture, where you come from, and try to determine what it is specifically your people did for different types of spiritual protections. Commonly with many native tribes and First Nations, they are doing what is referred to as smudging, or the burning of cedar or sage, or different types of sweetgrass, incense. But if you look at, let's say, even with the Catholic Church, with the Catholic Church, you'll see the priest blessing the congregation, swinging an urn that is dispelling this burning incense. And that act of burning that incense is actually, scientifically, it is those are negative ions that are being dispelled to get rid of negative energies. So many, like I said, many cultures have some form of that. But what I would recommend, just like John says, is for you to go back and look at your own ancestors and see what it is they do. Sometimes it involves the use of salts. Italian cultures use salts at times, and different things, holy water, and based on religious beliefs, and there's a lot of different things you can do. But the other critical component of that, when you've found some way of protecting yourself, it's critical that you have the intent in what it is you're doing. If you're just simply going through the motions, in general, it's not going to have the effect and that you're looking for or longing for. Your mind, body, and spirit as a whole have to be committed and focused in that. And simply going through the motions isn't going to offer the protections that you have. I mean, with the Navajo, like with corn pollen, the white corn pollen is used as people in the morning. You're supposed to rise before the sun rises. You're supposed to say your prayers and blessings, thank yous for the blessings that you have, to the four directions, and to the Father Sky and Mother Earth, and to show your appreciation for the blessings that each one of us have in either our health or for protections in our family members, even maybe the animals in our lives.
That's exactly what I was just going to say, because Michelle and I had a conversation a few days ago, and she had a connection with a coyote. Okay. Now, when I was riding my bike in the woods here, which I call bear country because it's a trail that runs through the mountains, I had the hawks following me, like on the bike, right on the trail with me. Okay. I'm getting like the chills. Even the people that have exchanges with owls or other types of animals, it's like a connection. I'm sure the wolf, whatever it is, like you said, different cultures, different connections. I think there is also that connection between us and, like, it's really generally Mother Earth, nature, taking all of that in and connecting to everything around you.
It's our spirit animals. They're trying to, animals are very sensitive to us as human beings, like they have their own frequencies. For me, when you and I spoke, I had just gone camping and a coyote showed up and growled at my tent. But I was also using an air pump. I have to look at every angle of why these things come the way they do. And and it was a high pitched air pump. And I called a friend who's a hunter and said, "Do you know that a rabbit makes a screaming sound? It's hurt, and then a coyote knows when it's hurt and they're screaming. That's when they go for the attack." So while I was sleeping in the middle, about 1:00, the coyotes, because my camping neighbors heard them too, had come into my camp. My zipper on my tent had broken, and luckily I had an insulated tent inside my tent.
Wow.
And I put my paddle board right in front of the doorway. I thought, can I imagine that coyote jumping into my tent? Oh my, we would have had a fun night. and then I would hear it growl. But my friend who was the hunter told me that nature has a way of signaling weakness. And so I thought that was a really interesting education. But then I talked to another friend who was very spiritual, said, no, that wasn't a real coyote that you experienced,
One of the things that you brought up is that at times these energies can be manipulative and they can, that in Navajo culture, the coyote is, in the creation story or emergence story, is the trickster, always playing games, tricking people, and he's sneaky and but at times these animals, animals in our lives are observing things that, like you said, that we can't see. Bill, you mentioned your mom being sensitive to certain things, seeing certain things that you can't even see. Well, children are that way. They tend to be very sensitive, different things, and they can sense and see things that maybe the average adult doesn't see and can't see. There are individuals like Michelle and John and I and others that are sensitive in nature to those energies and can detect them.
Right.
But we do know that there are different species of animals here on Earth that have, beyond the sixth sense that we recognize, of seeing, hearing, tasting, smelling, and touch, and even the sixth sense. You have dolphins and animals like that have sensing abilities that goes far beyond what man can do. I mean, you mentioned the hawks and eagles and those kind of things having visual acuity far beyond, range far beyond what man can sense or utilize. And we know, like, bloodhounds have the sense of smell that far exceeds man and other animals. But what I'm getting to is that sometimes there are people in our lives and animals that have a sensitivity to maybe even spirit activity. With the Egyptian culture, they had, reference cats as being sensitive and also
having mystical powers.
Yeah, protection against different types of entities like spirits and or things that would fall into the demonic realm.
We see our pets can do that. I see when all of a sudden I'll see my dog like looking at something, and I'm like, "What is my dog looking at?" They have that ability to sense. But I just want to bring up a couple of things that folks are saying in the chat. Anonymous Rex has a question. Why do we find high alkaline soils around the areas in Utah that are considered forbidden or linked to skinwalker lore? Is there something to do with this high alkaline soil?
Well, they contain a lot of salt. Utah once had the Great Salt Lake, which was Lake Bonneville, and it was an ocean. So we have a lot of alkaline because of that. And so from the salts, it tends to be more alkaline.
As far as the skinwalker connection, I
never heard of it.
I do know on the Navajo reservation there is a lot of alkalinity in the soils and stuff. If you travel on 491 between Gallup and Shiprock, there are areas on that route where you can obviously see the white looking salty soil composition there that is alkaline.
But that too once was an ocean. So we have these ancient oceans and our ancient waterways that once came through millions and millions of years ago, you know. Again, Lake Bonneville went all the way down there too. And
I will say that with the skinwalker phenomenon, in my opinion, and I think this mirrors John's opinion, is that this is today in modern times is specifically tied to the use and activity of witchcraft. And it's not something, you know, it's been said that in the past, the act of shape-shifting was used as a tool of war. The Navajos used that ability in conflicts with the Mexican people and various tribes, the Utes and Apaches and other tribes that they were at war with, the Spanish. But today, specifically, and what we've seen in the cases we've had to deal with, it is linked and it's tied to the use of what we would refer to as black witchcraft.
Wow.
As far as the alkaline soils, you know, it might be just the area where the people were put. You know, like the Navajos are in Navajo land and the desert lands and where our reservations were put. It's a question of who the people are. I don't necessarily think that they are linked to skinwalkers. I just think it's the area where the medicine who turn to those dark arts. I think it's the people. I don't think there's anything to do with the area. I don't know if that answered his question, but I know we're getting towards the end of the show. And I will have to, I was over here and maybe it was a paranormal moment, maybe it was an energy moment, but the energy increased so much that I actually had to pull out my little arrow that Stan gave me and John. I'm calmed down now. I could feel that energy increase. It's where I'm at, you know, and I have tobacco and I did take some bitter medicine and I had to slow down that energy. It was, you could see me rummaging, right? It was because, and then my battery was a good indicator of it draining. I was having something going on here. I was starting to spin too, by the way.
Wow.
So I didn't want to alarm anybody. I just took care of it, but how powerful this medicine really is. And it was like Stan referred to earlier, and I seemed a little fidgety because I was. It was because the energy was really increased, and it's because of where I'm at. And it's normal for the area. I just have to always remember to protect myself, and I just protect myself. And I could feel that peaceful, the calmness come over me. And it is important for you to carry that arrow. I mean, it does work. That medicine does work. And I appreciate what Stan has said today. In order to say, find your lineage, find how you protect yourself through these processes.
Sometimes, you know, I mean, even where we live, you may have to go back and look at the history of where it is you have your home or where you reside. And you may find out in your research that there may have been some type of activity, previous activity historically there that even today causes an abnormal activity for that particular location. I mean, some places have radon gas leaks and things like that that can cause electromagnetic fields to go off the charts and can influence paranormal activities. It feeds them more or less like a battery. And so you kind of, when you're having these things go on in your life, you have to step back kind of and look at your life, look at yourself, and look at how you're living, and look at the location, and really to do a deep dive in what it is, more or less like investigating what is going on in your life to be able to cause those kind of activities. So that after you identify what that is, what is my means of living with it, not letting it wreck my life, not letting it cause these problems or affecting my health or these kind of things. But we really have to be aware, of our surroundings and things and that. Don't forget the prayer.
Say a shout out to Terry Hall. We're coming close to time being done. This goes so fast. He says, I don't care for the Basin's mojo anymore. Hi, Terry. Michelle Miners. Good to see your name up there. But he does have, how does one get rid of the hitchhiker, oneself of a hitchhiker? That's a great question.
We need to address that next week.
Yeah.
We only have a couple minutes, but for those in chat, thank you for your participation, and definitely come by next week and keep putting in the great input that you're doing in that chat during the show when Michelle, Stan, and John are doing the show. But John, you do have an update about the book coming up, your book that's out right now, but it's going to be available.
That's the paperback version is coming out in October.
Cool.
You can find the audio version, the ebook, and of course the hardback version of that pretty much anywhere. I mean, you can Barnes & Noble carries the hardback copy, and you can go directly to HarperCollins to get those particular books too.
I just want to say something quick, Michelle, before you wrap up. Someone brought up a great point, rainbow food rocks. Sometimes you just have to leave an environment too. When you're around a negative energy, a place, people, anything with negative energy, you need to get away from it because you want to be a source of positive energy and attract positive energy and push all that negative energy away from you because it's what power you give to it. That's the way I look at it. The power of positive energy, the mind sometimes over body. There's a lot of things involved. I'll just end at that.
Well, this hour went really fast, and I appreciate everybody. I especially appreciate our audience who comes on board and joins our chat. We get to look at what is the interest out there, what they want to hear. I mean, they get excited too about the conversation, and this conversation has been very interesting. It almost seems like we touch the tip of the sword, and we don't really deep dive. But one of these days, I'd like to have a show that goes a couple of hours. We can have the audience and us do a deep dive. Let's talk about it,
Well, soon we're going to have phone lines, so maybe we'll have a special 2-hour show where people could call in and participate.
Right.
Ooh, that'd be cool.
Well, Michelle, you can wrap it up.
Thank you, Stan, for being on. And we have missed Stan, Jonathan. I will give him a howdy do for everybody here. Bill, thank you for being on the show once again. It just makes it a flair. You have so much to say. You produce our show, and it's wonderful to have worked with you on this particular paranormal subject lines. We do talk to one another, audience. We chat together. as to what's appropriate to put out there in your behalf. But you want to hear what we're culturally wanting to share of our own cultures. We've had so many experiences, and we want to share those as paranormal rangers. And hopefully we can get together and investigate, be all three of us together, and maybe go camping and investigate an area that needs investigation. So maybe we'll put that together and put
no tricks to coyotes, though. No tricks.
Yeah, I know. This has been my coyote year. Every time I've gone camping, I've had an encounter with the trickster. So thank you, everyone.
I want to say thank you to Gail and the kids for good comments, and also to Terry Hall. Thank you, audience, for your comments and interest in the show, and for those watching, thank you. I appreciate it.
All right, everyone. Have a great night, and we'll see you next week. Good night.